मेरी स्क्रीन ऑप्शन करिए।
कर दिया मैंने,
हाँ,
कर दिया
आ गया
सर,
आ
आ
गया आ
गया।
गया।
मेरे को
ओके ओके, चलिए
मेरे
अब
को
हम
तो दिखा
फिर से
देगा।
इसको फिर से स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं। ओके।
ओके ठीक है, आई विल स्टार्ट इट फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग।
या गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन, सभी का स्वागत है फिर से इस प्लेटफॉर्म पर। एंड आपको जैसा पता है, लगातार वी आर डिस्कसिंग 1 mark क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम द डिफरेंट चैप्टर्स ऑफ डिफरेंट सब्जेक्ट. So today we are going to discuss about the chapter number 2, class 11th, subject is accountancy, and the name of the chapter is basic terms of accounting. So today we have with us as a subject expert Madam Dr. Anju Pramod Dubey ji. Ma'am, I welcome you in this show. And
थैंक यू सर।
ma'am has completed her PhD from Annamalai University, and also she has cleared national eligibility test, that is NET examination in Master of Business Administration. So definitely, ma'am is working as a PGT Commerce in Meridian School, Madhapura, that is in Hyderabad. And I would not take much time, and I would like to hand over to the ma'am. Ma'am, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Asad sir, and thank you very much, One Mark Solutions, for providing me a platform to share my knowledge with students so that they can be benefited. The ultimate aim of myself or the One Mark Solutions or Asad sir, it is to enhance the knowledge and get the students benefited by enhancing their knowledge and scoring better marks in 1 mark questions that are included in your examinations. So, as per the revised pattern of CBSE, as per the CBSE guidelines, there is a revision in the question paper pattern in the marking scheme, and the question papers are set accordingly. So we have like 50% of the entire marks to be divided for the 1 mark questions, and that's why more equal importance should be given to 1 mark questions as well. To be successful to score higher marks or full marks for those 1 mark questions, because they sometimes they are quite technical, sometimes they are very specific to the point, and sometimes you have to read them all carefully. So you need to be a little bit more careful when you do 1 mark questions, because at times in a hurry the students read it quickly and they do not stress certain words and they select the wrong option. So I mean, I'll just be giving you a few tips while doing the questions when we are going to the questions. However, I would like to start with the second chapter, as I told you, for accountancy, that is basic accounting terms. And under this, we have the syllabus for accountancy. It's divided into financial accounting part A, part B, and under part A, this chapter comes, and then we have certain deleted portions as well. But this part is not affected. This chapter is not affected because of the deleted portion. And then we have the blueprint for the question paper that is to be set up accordingly. So the 55 percentage of the total 80 marks is given to remembrance and understanding questions. Then 23.75 percentage is given to application based questions, and finally 21.25 percentage is given to analysis evaluating questions. So over here, uh, when we move on to next thing, in this specific chapter, that is basic accounting terms, see, as we all know that accounting is the language of business, and in this specific chapter we learned about several new terminologies that are associated with accounting, and those terminologies include your business transactions, capital, drawings, inventory, in which we are going to cover up the different types of 1 mark questions that can come from this chapter. And this specifically includes multiple choice questions, questions, fill in the blanks, true, false, match the following. You might have some arranging in correct sequence also, and then some descriptive questions in which you have to answer the question in either one word or one sentence. So there you have to describe something, or you might have to write an equation or something like that. Okay, so now let us move on to the first type of questions, that is multiple choice questions. And the first question that I have, okay, let me just put it on the, okay. Okay, this question, if you see this, the question number two, I'll try to go back later on to the question number one. So those assets which have, the question number two is of multiple choice questions. Here you will be given four options, and out of those four options, you have to select one of those. So those assets which have physical existence and can be seen and touched, they are called as, either are they called as current assets or tangible assets or intangible assets or none of these. So now when we try to categorize the assets, we know that assets are the ownings of any business organization, and those ownings could be in the form of either current assets are the ones that are going to be there with you for a period of 1 year with the business organization. And then we have examples for current assets like cash, receivables, inventory. These are the examples for current assets. Then we have something called as tangible assets. Tangible assets are the assets which can be seen physically. They have physical existence. They can be touched and felt upon. The third category, or the third option that is given to you over here, is intangible assets, or the assets which do not have any physical form, which cannot be touched and felt, like patents, copyright, goodwill. They are all part of intangible assets, and none of these. So, if you know the definitions of each of these types of assets, what are current assets, what are tangible assets, what are intangible assets, then very easily you can make out that the answer for this question is option B. That is, those assets which have physical existence. So, tangible word itself signifies physical existence that can be touched and felt. So, the examples for tangible assets could be building, they could be machinery, equipment. Those are all your tangible assets which can be seen, which can be felt, which have physical form. They all come under the category of tangible assets. Okay, then the next question is also a multiple choice question. In this, the question states that the goods available with the business for sale on a particular date. So the goods which a business organization is selling on a particular date, these, it is known as, the first option is given as stock, the second option is given as creditors, third option is given as debtors, and the fourth option is given as none of these. So we all know that debtors and creditors, they are the parties involved when there is a credit transaction that takes place. So if my business, if I am selling something on credit to someone, that person is my debtor. And if I buy something from another party on credit, I then that party is creditor to me. So over here, we are not talking about debtor or creditor, but we are talking about the goods that are available with the business for sale on a particular date. So the correct answer that you can find out from these options is stock. Stock is refers to the goods which are available with the business organization that can be sold on a particular date, any date. If you have a stock, if you have the stock of goods with you can sell it whenever you want. So that's the right answer for this question. Now we move on to next question. The next question states that the excess of expenses of a period over its related revenues is termed as. So, if your expenses, read out the question 2 3 times. Whenever you get a question, please read it 2 times, at least 2 or 3 times, so that you can get the correct requirement from that. So, here it says that the excess of expenses of a period. So if you it means you have to compare the expenses of a period to the revenues of that period. So expenses and revenues, when you find out the difference between them, and if expenses are more than your revenues, then what is the situation called as, what is it termed as? So the options that are given to you is profit, option A. Then you have loss, option B. The third option is gain, and the last option is expenses. So anytime when your expenses are more than your revenues, you are in a state of loss. We all know that revenues are the income or the money that we generate by selling goods and services. So revenues are incoming source for us, whereas expenses are through expenses we are spending money. So if our expenses are higher and if our income is low, then we are at a loss position. That's why the correct answer for this over here is option B, that is loss. Okay, so expenses, if expenses are greater than revenues, then you will be in a loss position, and if expenses are lower than or lesser than revenues, then you will be in a profit position. The next question that I have over here is current assets do not include. So you have to see the word carefully. Not is there. Okay. Sometimes some of the students they do not focus. They leave out certain keywords like not or that changes the entire meaning of the question. If the word not is added, then the question becomes totally different. So over here, current assets do not include. So first of all, we should think what are current assets. So assets are the ownings of an organization that are going to be there with the organization for almost 1 year. And within that 1 year, they will be utilized. Okay, so motor car, do you think that we can use motor car within a year? No, motor car is utilized for several years. It can be utilized for decades also, 15, 20 years that can be utilized. The next thing is inventory. Inventory is also known as stock. And yes, this could be a part of current assets. Then bills receivable, this is also part of current assets because you can get them converted into cash within a period of year. Then you have debtors. They are the persons who have purchased goods on credit from us. They can also be converted to cash within a year. But motor car normally doesn't get converted. It is usually kept or it is usually utilized by the organization for several years. So the answer that you have over here is option A, that is motor car. Motor car is not a current asset. It is actually a fixed asset because it is going to be there in the business for more than 1 year. It is going to be utilized by the business organization for more than a year. Now we move on to the next question. So here we have which one of these which one is an example of current liabilities. So current liabilities are the obligations of business organizations that need to be paid off within a period of 1 year. Okay, so the first thing is, the first option given to you is bills receivable. Second option is debtors. Third option is creditors, and the fourth option is none of these. So current liabilities, as we know that these are the obligations that are to be paid within a year. When we talk about bills receivable, they are actually receivables, so they are not liabilities; they are actually current assets. Same way, debtors, from debtors we are going to receive money, so they are not our liability, they are our current assets. Only the creditors as the party to whom we have to make payment. So if we are supposed to make payment, then the correct answer is creditors. Creditors is an example of current liabilities over here. So the option C is to be selected. And then we move on to the next question. Over here, we say that goodwill is the dash asset. Goodwill is the dash asset for any organization. How do you classify goodwill? What is goodwill? So it is basically the name and fame or the value of an organization or the brand of an organization because of its effective, strong financial track record. So it is an intangible asset, tangible asset, current asset, all of these. So goodwill is something which is intangible in nature. It can only be felt, or I mean, you cannot see any physical form of goodwill. It is actually intangible. There is no physical existence for goodwill. You can just get to know that what is the worth of your goodwill, how much name you have in the market, So it is an intangible asset. It is not a tangible asset. You cannot see goodwill in any physical form, and it is also not a current asset because goodwill remains with business for a longer duration of more than 1 year. It stays with the business till the business keeps on functioning, it keeps on operating. Goodwill stays with the business, so it's not a current asset. It's a long term asset. However, we categorize it as intangible asset because we cannot see goodwill. It doesn't have a physical form. So the correct answer over here is option B. Option A is the current right answer. It is actually intangible asset. Okay. Now we move on to the next question. The person who still owes some amount to the business are termed as. So the person who have borrowed on credit from, who have purchased goods on credit from any organization, what are they called as? Are they called as creditors? Is it called as bills payable? Is it called as debtors, or is it called as bills receivable? So we should know what are creditors, what are bills payable, what are debtors, what are bills receivable. So bills payable and bills receivable will not be answer for this. The person who still owes. So here we are specifically referring to person. So the answer will either be creditor or debtor. So A and C are the could be the possible options. Out of these two, one of them has to be selected. So the person who still owes some money, who still has to pay some money to the business, is called as debtor. So your correct answer is debtors over here because he's still supposed to pay some money for the goods or services that he had purchased on credit. The next question that we have over here is which is received at the time of making the payment. Whatever amount you receive at the time of making payment. So these are the four options that are given to you. Out of these four, what is the thing that you receive when you make the payment? When you are making payment, when you are giving payment to any party, either by check or by cash. So what is it that you receive at the time of making payment? Trade discount? No, trade discount you get at the time of trading. You don't get it at the time of making payment. Rebate? No, you don't get it at the time of making payment. Rebate is already given to you in advance, not at the time of making payment. Only the term cash discount. The cash discount is the term which is used for giving discount to people who are making cash payments. So whenever a party is making cash payment, in order to promote prompt, quicker, fast cash payments, cash discounts are allowed. And this is the discount or cash discount is received at the time of making payment. Okay, so the correct answer that we have over here is option C, that is cash discount. The next question that we have is the amount or kinds which the proprietor has invested in a business is known as. Is it investment? Is it capital? Is it asset? Or is it liability? So the amounts or kinds means any other form. Rather, apart from amounts, sometimes the owner can get furniture also for the business. The owner can get some other raw materials. The owner can provide building also. So anytime, whenever the owner is providing the amount or the cash or in apart from cash, if he is introducing anything else into the business, that particular thing is known as capital. You all should know that capital is the amount which is introduced by the owner of the business.
Ma'am,
So
your voice is not
anytime,
coming.
if my voice is not coming, since when, sir? Hello,
Not yet.
is it fine, sir? Now, is it still not coming, sir? Hello.
No.
I don't know what is the issue today. So many problems are there.
Kindly check the connection.
Yeah, I'm just checking, sir. Uh, I have
ना
checked my
अभी भी नहीं
connection,
आई।
sir. I'm just checking it once again. Can you hear me now?
एक बार उसका लीड का कनेक्शन देख लीजिए आप। नहीं, इंटरनेट इज कनेक्टेड बट वो वॉइस का कुछ आ रहा है उसमें, जो आपका ये जो ईयरफोन आपने हेडफोन लगाया हुआ है, इसका कनेक्शन एक बार चेक कर लीजिए। अगर ये ब्लूटूथ से है तो ब्लूटूथ देख लीजिए ऑन है कि नहीं ऑन है, और अगर वायर का है तो वायर देख लीजिए सही कनेक्टेड है कि नहीं कनेक्टेड है।
Can you hear me now, sir? Can you hear me
या
now,
या
sir?
या या नाउ कैन हियर।
Okay. Okay, fine, sir.
ओके।
Can you see my screen?
यस 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 यस।
The PowerPoint?
या यस आई कैन सी इट।
Okay. Yes. So we were at question number 10. So the amount or the kinds which the proprietor invests in a money, anytime whenever the owner invests the money in business, it is called as the owner's investment, or it is also known as capital. So capital is the amount. That's the right answer that you all should know. Investments by the owners of the business, either in cash or in the form of amount or in the form of kind, such as furniture or building or anything which is provided by owner, not in the cash form, they are called as kinds. So overall you term them as capital. So the anything which is introduced into the business by the owner, it is called as capital. The next question that we have over here is the documentary evidence in support of a transaction. What is the documentary evidence called as in support of a transaction known as? So the options that are given to you is a debit note, it could be a credit note, it could be a voucher, or it could be an invoice. So the documentary evidence for any transaction, it is called as voucher, because that's the voucher is given by the selling party to the buying party every time whenever the transaction takes place. The voucher is issued so that that can be used as a documentary proof, that can be filed, that can be put in proper filing procedures for the books of accounting. Okay, so this is the correct answer, that voucher act as a documentary evidence in support of transactions. The next question that we have is a document which is given by the seller to the buyer for sale of goods or provision of services on credit. Whenever you buy something on credit, that time the seller gives a particular document which states that certain number of goods are purchased on credit by so and so person on a specific date. So what is that document called as? Is it called as invoice? Is it called as debit note? Is it called as cash memo, or is it called as all of these? All of these could not be possible. It is not a cash memo because there is no cash transaction that is taking place. The debit note is also not an answer. The correct answer that you have over here is invoice. So through a proper invoice, you get to know that invoice is the bill that is given by the seller to the buyer, stating that certain number of goods are bought on a specific date at this price. So the total bill amount is this much. So now we move on to the next question. So any dealing between two parties or persons which must be recorded and which can be measured in terms of money is called as. So any time when two parties, two or more parties or persons, they come into contact with each other, and that contract has to be recorded and that can be measured in terms of money. It is what it is called as. Is it called as debtors? Is it called as transactions? Is it called as creditors? Or is it called as investors? So the right answer is, it's talking about the dealing. It is not talking about any party, any specific person like debtor, creditor, or investor. It is talking about dealing. So when we talk about dealing, we do have transactions where dealings are involved. So anytime when there is a dealing between two parties or persons, which must be recorded and that can be measured in monetary terms, it is called as a transaction. In a transaction, there are two parties, two or more parties are involved. One party is the party which is offering the goods or services, and the other party is buying those goods or services. So there is an offerer and there is an acceptor. So that way, transaction is the dealing. Transaction is called as the dealing over here. Now, so that's the right answer over here. Now we move on to the next question, where we have a language of business is known as. What is it? You must keep in mind that language of business. What is, which particular subject is called as the language of business? So accounting is actually called as the language of, not accountancy. Accountancy is the whole process. When I say accounting, it is the language of business. You must always by heart this, that accounting is the language of business. So when you talk in accounting terms, you talk about the financial statements, you talk through the financial statements, you talk through the profitability of the organization, liquidity, its asset management and solvency and all of it. That all can be done with the help of the language which is called as accounting. Okay. The next question that we have is, which of the following is not a fixed asset? So the moment you get the question, please see the word not. That not word has to be considered very carefully, and then you think about fixed assets. So what are fixed assets? So fixed assets are the assets that are going to be there in the organization for a longer duration, which will be used by the business organization for generating revenues in future over a long duration of time. So here the options that are given to you is building. Yes, building is used for a number of years, so it is a fixed asset. But here we have to identify which is not a fixed asset. Now we move on to the next option, land. Land is also going to be there with the business for a longer duration, and it is also a fixed asset. So this cannot be an answer. Machinery. Yes, machineries are also utilized by business organizations for a longer duration, more than 1 year. So this is, machinery is also fixed asset. That can also not be the answer for this question. So the last option that is given to you over here is BR, that is called as bills receivable. So bills receivable is not a fixed asset. Bills receivable is a current asset. It is actually the bill amount which is to be received within a period of 1 year. That receivable period could be 3 months, 6 months, 90 days, 180 days, whatever is specified in that specific bill. It depends upon the that date. So bills receivable is not a fixed asset. Bill receivable is a current asset because you will realize the money of bill receivable within a year. Okay. Now we have, so that's the right answer. That is bills receivable. Now we have the next question, that's the amount of cash or goods which is withdrawn by proprietor from business for private use. So anytime if the business owner is taking out money or any goods from the business for his or her personal use, you all should know that it is called as drawings. Okay. So when the owner is getting anything, that is called as capital. But if the owner is taking out something from business organization for personal use, it is called as drawings. So the correct answer that you have over here is option C, that is drawings. The drawings are the amount or the withdrawals that are done by the owner for his or her private use or personal use. It is not going to be utilized for business use. Okay, so that is drawings. The next question that we have is a portion of the accounts receivable which proves to be uncollectible. So accounts receivable means the amount that people owe to you, that they will pay to you because they have bought something on credit from you. So if they have bought something on credit from you, then they are going to pay the money to you. But due to certain unavoidable or unforeseen reasons. If they are not able to pay that money, what is that money called as? If you don't receive that amount from the person who was supposed to pay you, that money is it called as bad debts? Is it called as doubtful debts? Is it called as provision for bad debts, or is it called all of these? So bad debts is actually the amount which is the right answer over here, which is not paid or which is uncollectible due to several reasons. It could be any reason due to which you are not receiving the money that you are supposed to receive from a particular party for selling goods on credit to that person. Okay, so the correct answer over here is bad debts. The next question that we have, it is a different type of question, which is not a multiple choice question, but it's a fill in the blank. And over here, the question that you have is, what is the word used for not showing the actual position in the financial statement? So anytime if a business organization is not showing the financial statements properly, if it is hiding something, if it is trying to extrapolate, if it is trying to inflate the books of account, this practice is called as, a specific term is used for that practice of hiding the proper information, hiding the actual financial information from the financial statements, and it is called as window dressing. So window dressing is the new term that you all will learn in this chapter. In when you study accountancy, then you will learn about this term. This is a new term which you might not have heard earlier. So window dressing is the term which refers to not showing the actual position in the financial statements, but hiding something or inflating your real position to impress investors. Okay. The next question is also in the last category of question. Here, fixed assets are also known as non-current assets. That's the correct answer actually. So fixed assets, as I told you, they include all the assets which are going to be there in the business organization for more than a year. So anytime when an asset is going to be there in the business organization for more than a year, it is called as non-current asset, or it is also called as fixed asset. So the right answer that you have to fill, the right blank, the right word that you have to use over here is non-current assets. The next question that you have over here is, main function of accounting is to maintain complete and systematic record of dash transactions. So what do we record in accounting? What do we write in accounting? We prepare books of accounts, we do journal entries, we do ledger postings and all of it. But what is it? What are we recording exactly? What is it, the basic thing that we are doing? So we actually record the business transactions. So you must keep in mind that the main function of accounting is to maintain complete and systematic record of business transactions. Nothing else, only the business transaction. Any transaction which is not related to business will not be recorded, will not be shown in the books of accounts. Then the next question that we have is, branch of commerce which keeps a record of monetary transactions in a set of books. So which particular branch of commerce maintains monetary transactions of business in a specific book? It is called as bookkeeping. So the branch of commerce which maintains the books of accounts, it is called as bookkeeping, in which you maintain proper books of accounts for all the transactions of any business organization. Okay. The next question that we have is also a fill in the blanks category of question. The excess of revenue over expenses of an accounting year. So there was one more question in when we were doing true false. Sorry, when we were doing multiple choice questions. That time I told you what is profit, what is loss. So when your expenses are more than your revenues, you are at a loss. But when your revenues are higher than your expenses. So in this question, if you read it out carefully, it says that the excess of revenue over expenses of an accounting year. It is known as what it is known as net profit. So any for the whole year, whatever transactions have taken place, You do the entire total for all the expenses and you do the entire total for all the revenues. If the revenues are more than expenses, you will have net profit in your organization. Okay, so net profit is the right answer for this. The next question that we have is amount invested in the business by the owner. I have explained you already that whenever a business owner gets money into the organization, it is called as capital, and whenever he takes out money from the organization for his or her personal use, it is called as drawings. So here the correct answer is capital. The next question that we have is the branch of accounting which is concerned with GST and income tax. GST and income tax related accounting is called as tax accounting. It is not called as financial accounting, it is called as tax accounting. Financial accounting is done for the financial statements preparation. Okay. The next question that we have over here is excess of current assets over current liabilities is known as dash. So if you have current assets are the assets that are the earnings of the organization, which are based on the revenues of the organization. So current assets are known as dash. Current assets get converted in cash in a period of, I've been telling you that current assets, they have a maximum period of 1 year to be there with the business. Within that 1 year they get converted into cash. So current assets also, they get converted within a period of 1 year maximum or 12 months, not more than that, not even 1 day more than that. Okay. Now the next category of questions that we have over here is true false questions. So when we talk about true false questions, here you will be given, you have to read the statement and then you have to specify whether the given statement is true or whether it is false. So bookkeeping starts where accounting ends. This is the question that is given to you. Bookkeeping starts where accounting ends, but this is not a right statement because accounting starts when the bookkeeping ends. It should be the other way around. So this statement is false. So it should be the other way. Accounting starts where bookkeeping ends. The bookkeeping is the basic procedure for accounting. It's the base for accounting. Once bookkeeping is done, then accounting comes into picture in any organization. The next question that we have is also the first question. It says that cost accounting is a branch of accounting. So accounting has different branches under it like managerial accounting, cost accounting, financial accounting, taxation accounting. So if I ask you if cost accounting is a branch of accounting, yes, it is true. It is a branch of accounting. Uh, Same way, we can have financial accounting also as a branch of accounting, tax accounting also as a branch of accounting. So that's the question that we have. Now we have the next question. Those debts that are payable after a period of 1 year, they are called as current liabilities. So if any debt you are paying after a year, it will not be called as current liability, it will be called as a long term liability. So this answer is false. So over here, because the liability is paid after a year, it is not a current liability, it is a long term liability. Any liability which you are paying after a year will not be called as a current liability. The next question that we have is final accounts are prepared at the end of the accounting year. So you must keep in mind that throughout the year, whatever transactions have taken place, at the end of the year, it is compulsory for every organization to prepare the final accounts. When I say final accounts, it means to prepare the income statement, balance sheet, stockholders' equity statement, and cash flow statement. So these are the statements that are to be prepared at the end of the year. So this statement is right. This statement is true. Okay, the next question that I have is accounting makes records of qualitative aspects of business. So we all know that accounting deals with numbers and quality doesn't deal with numbers. So accounting makes records of quantitative aspects of business, not qualitative aspects, but it makes records of quantitative aspects of business which are related to numbers. Because in accounting, we always write the amounts that we get from sales, profit, revenue. All those are measured in terms of numbers only. So over here, the correct answer that you have, I mean, the answer that should be selected is false. Accounting does not make qualitative aspects, but it makes records of quantitative aspects. Quantity is measured, quantity is mentioned in accounting. The next question that we have is a transaction in any event or condition such as buying or selling that must be recorded in the financial records of a business. Um, Okay. So a transaction in any event or condition, compulsory. It is compulsory to record each every transaction, whether you are buying, whether you are selling, whether it is on credit, whether it is on cash. Every transaction, whichever condition it is taken up, it should be recorded in the final financial records of business. This is a true statement that every transaction must be recorded by the business organization. They should not miss out on any of the transactions. The next question is relates to cash discount. So when we say cash discount, it is allowed to the customers for making prompt payment. Do you feel that if you make prompt payment and if you get some discount because of that, would you like to get the discount once again? So yes, every time every person gets a cash discount, they actually get motivated. The customers can be motivated for making prompt payment. They can make on time payment to get the discount. So the correct answer that you have is true. Cash discount is deliberately allowed to the customers to make prompt payment so that they can make the payment on time. The next question that we have over here is written document for credit sale given by seller to buyer is known as invoice. So that's the correct answer. Written document which is given by the seller to the buyer. We did this question earlier also. The correct answer is invoice. The next question is a question. The benefit of an expenditure lasts for more than 1 year. If the benefit of an expenditure lasts for more than 1 year, then that benefit should be treated as revenue expenditure. No. If the benefit expands for more than a year, that benefit should come under the category of capital expenditure. Any benefit which is for more than a year falls under the category of capital expenditures. Okay. Now I have another category of questions that is called as match following questions. So in this, on one side you will be given one set of items or the definitions or the terminologies, and on the other side you will have another set of questions. You have to match them. So here, if you see, there are only 2 points that need to be matched from the left, whereas on the right you have 4 points. Out of 4, only 2 will be correct answer. So first you see what is given for the terms. The first term given is sales, and the second term given is liabilities. So sales, when I say the option A, which is given to you, total revenue from selling an asset. Okay. The next option that is given to you over here is properties of an enterprise. Properties of an enterprise are called as assets actually. Obligations of an enterprise, they are called as liabilities. And the last one is total revenue from goods and services. So sales is basically total revenue from goods and services. So here you have the correct answer for it. First option is with D, that is sales. They are related to operations of an entrepreneur. Sorry. Yeah, so the sales, they relate to total revenue from goods and services. Then the second thing that you have over here is liabilities. So liabilities are the obligations of an enterprise. Very clearly, I had stated you earlier also. These are the obligations. So you can select option C for 2 and option D for 1 option. So that is how we need to relate them to each other. Now I have one more question relating to this only. So here you are given 2 terms and you have to match it with any of these three terms, two of them will be selected as answers. The first term which is given to you is debtors. The second term which is given to you is deployment of funds in shares. So you are investing money in shares. So if you are investing money in shares, it is called as investment. And if you have debtors, they are part of your current assets. So the right answer that we have over here is for debtors, we will have B option, first one B and second we will have C. That is how we select the options. Okay, now I have the descriptive questions. Like this could be they could be one liner, could be one single word answer, they could be one equation as well. So how is the total amount of liabilities created? So how do we calculate liabilities? The correct answer that you have over here is liabilities is equal to assets minus equity. So whatever ownings a business organization has, from that if you reduce the amount which is invested by the remaining amount is called as the capital. The next question that we have is what are drawings? So drawings, I have already told you that if the owner is taking any money out of business for his or her own personal requirements, it is called as drawings. So that's the same definition. Drawing refers to any value of commodities or cash withdrawn by owner for personal use. So anytime, whenever for any personal use, if the goods are taken, if the amount is taken from business for any personal use by the owner, it is called as withdrawals or drawings. Okay. The next question that we have is also a descriptor type, which states that give two examples of tangible goods. So tangible goods are the ones that have physical form, that can be seen, that can be felt, and the two examples for it could be stock and land and building. Okay, these are the examples that can be utilized. These are the examples for intangible assets. Sorry, these are the examples for tangible assets because they have physical form. You can see the stock, you can see the land, you can see the building, you can touch the building, you can feel the building. So any asset which can be touched, felt, and physical existence it has, it will be called as a tangible asset. So here we asked about two examples. Two examples. Each example over here carries half mark. So if you write only one example, you will get only half mark. But if you write two examples, because the question they have asked for two examples, so it will be then in that case you can write both of these. Okay. Now, what is income? This is also a kind of question that how do you define income? What is income? So excess of revenues over expenses is called as income, and if your revenues are more than your expenses, you are in a state of profit or you are in a state of income, and it is called. The equation that we use for income is it is equal to revenue minus expenses. That is how we calculate income. Now, the next question that we have is how is the total amount of capital calculated? For any business organization, how do we calculate how much money is invested by the owner? So, in that case, we use equation. It is also called as accounting equation. It is being reshuffled a little bit. So, the equation that we form to calculate capital is capital is equal to assets minus liabilities. So from the total assets or ownings of business organization, if you reduce liabilities, that the amount that are to be paid off to the outsiders, difference is called as capital, which is the money which is invested by the owner. Now, if I ask you give two examples of assets, that in actually I wanted to have intangible assets. Okay, so okay, now the answer I wanted to add up intangible what? So intangible we have trademark and goodwill. And if I ask you examples of tangible assets, you can have building, you can have inventory, you can have equipment, you can have machinery, etc. All of these. Okay. Then the next question that we have is the amount used by the owners for personal use from business is known as drawing. This again, I've already explained you about this. And anytime for any reason, if the business owner is drawing money for personal use, it is called as drawings. Okay. The last question that I would like to have over here is write down the accounting equation. You can have definition parts as well, like define assets, define liabilities. That also one mark questions could be there. So the last question that I have over here is write down accounting equations. Accounting equation is very important one, and here we use the accounting equation um, as assets plus assets is equal to, actually that's a typing error, assets is equal to capital plus liabilities. That's the equation that we use for accounting, and these are the questions that I wanted to discuss with all of you. Now I have some books or references that I had used for this particular webinar, and specifically I have used the NCRT textbook, and apart from that I have also used the accounting textbook by Subhash Desar and Sandeep Garg by Deva Publications and Sultan Publications respectively. Uh, Now, I think we are about to end the session. Before that, I would like you all to subscribe to my channel as well. This is an educational channel where you can get updates relating to all the subjects of senior secondary, that is uh, 11th and 12th grade. You can get updates on all the e-commerce and numeric subjects. Apart from that, some webinars or any competitions that take place, that also are over here. We have recorded lectures for different chapters for business studies, accountancy. You can also go through that. The channel is called as Everest Educational Services. I would request you all to subscribe to it so that you can get regular updates relating to it. That's all from my end. Asad sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, it is done, sir.
Thank you. Okay, okay. So thank you so much, डॉक्टर अंजू मैम, एंड डेफिनेटली आज थोड़ा सा इश्यू जरूर रहे हैं इंटरनेट के, बट कोई नहीं, ये अगर ये चीज़ें ना हो तो फिर लाइव टीचिंग में, क्लास टीचिंग में और इंटरनेट ऑनलाइन टीचिंग में कहाँ अंतर समझ में आएगा। तो ऐसी चीज़ें हो जाती हैं,
That
इंटरनेट के
is true.
इश्यूज हैं। हाँ, तो वो कोई
कुछ
बहुत बड़ा
चीजें
इश्यू
अपने
नहीं है,
हाथ में
कभी
नहीं
कभी
होती हैं,
हो
वही
जाती है। जी जी
वही
जी
कुछ
जी।
चीजें अपने
वही
हाथ में
मैं कह
नहीं
रहा
हो
हूँ
पाती है।
कि ये जो चीज़ें हो जा रही हैं, इसको हम कुछ कर भी नहीं सकते। हम तो अपनी तरफ से पूरी तैयारी करके बैठते हैं, सडन इंटरनेट चला जाए या सैटेलाइट से ही कनेक्शन उसका टूट जाए तो उसमें हम लोग कुछ नहीं कर सकते। कोई बात नहीं, लेकिन लेटर ऑन जब हमने ज्वाइन किया उसके बाद से हमारा सेशन काफ़ी स्मूथ गया है और डेफिनेटली मुझे लग रहा है बच्चों को भी इसका फ़ायदा मिला होगा। हाँ बेटा, 11th इकोनॉमिक्स भी आएगा और 8th को हम लोग अकाउंटेंसी का चैप्टर 3 भी ले रहे हैं और बहुत जल्दी हम लोग जो है वो लेकर के आएंगे इकोनॉमिक्स के वेबिनार्स भी, है ना। तो सारे सब्जेक्ट के वेबिनार्स यहाँ पर कंडक्ट कराएंगे हम लोग। ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई सब्जेक्ट छोड़ देंगे, बस ये है कि आगे पीछे हो सकता है। इट्स डिपेंड ऑन द अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ द रिसोर्स पर्सन कि कब कौन रिसोर्स पर्सन हमारे पास जो है वो समय अपना दे पाते हैं, कब निकाल पाते हैं। तो इट्स डिपेंड ऑन दैट। तो वेरी सून वी आर गोइंग टू कंडक्ट ऑल चैप्टर्स फ्रॉम ऑल सब्जेक्ट, है ना। ऐसा नहीं है, इकोनॉमिक्स भी होगा, बीएसटी भी होगा, अकाउंट्स भी होगा, इवन फिजिकल एजुकेशन, हिंदी, इंग्लिश और केमिस्ट्री, मैथमेटिक्स, फिजिक्स सबका होगा। बट थोड़ा सा इट विल टेक टाइम बिकॉज एक एक दिन में अब हम दो सेशन कर रहे हैं। बहुत जल्दी हम लोग इसको कंप्लीट करने वाले हैं, है ना। तो स्टे ट्यून्ड विद अस और फीडबैक फॉर्म मैंने शेयर कर दिया है लाइव चैट बॉक्स में। एक बार फिर से अंजू मैम आपका बहुत बहुत थैंक यू। मुझे पता है कुछ इश्यूज आपके साथ हैं, उसके बाद भी आपने जो टाइम बच्चों को दिया था उसके उस समय पर आपने ज्वाइन किया हमको। हम 1 मार्क्स की तरफ से आपको बहुत धन्यवाद अदा करते हैं कि आपने बच्चों को जो टाइम दिया था उस टाइम पर आपने अपना कीमती समय निकाला है। और आई होप कि आगे भी जो है हम लोग इस तरह से जुड़ते रहेंगे और आगे भी इसी तरह से
डेफिनेटली
बच्चों
सर,
के लिए
डेफिनेटली
जो है
सर।
वो काम करते रहेंगे। बच्चों, मैडम
श्योर।
का जो चैनल है एवरेस्ट एजुकेशन सर्विस, उसको भी जरूर आप सब्सक्राइब करें क्योंकि आपको वहाँ पर कंटेंट, डिटेल्ड कंटेंट मिलेगा। यहाँ तो आपको 1 मार्क्स का मिलता है, वहाँ पर आपको डिटेल्ड कंटेंट मिलेगा। सो आई थिंक वी शुड वाइंड अप इट नाउ। थैंक
यस
यू
सर।
वंस अगेन, थैंक यू सो मच।